Tim Pawlenty is busy pounding the pavement. His most frequent stops, Iowa, New Hampshire, or South Carolina, the first three primary states. He needs name recognition, so the former Minnesota governor is working hard to introduce himself to voters and move upward in the polls. In order to move out of the single digits, Pawlenty is positioning himself as the one candidate who will not only talk the conservative talk, but walk the walk.
As we go forward, if you look at this country, we're not going to have people who are just talking about these things. We have to have leaders who can actually do them and have done them. We did tort reform and welfare reform and so much else. Not just talking about it, but getting it done.
Well, please welcome to the 700 Club former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty. He is now a presidential hopeful and governor. I'm delighted to have you with me.
I'm honored to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Why do you want to be president?
Well, I think I've got the skills and the ability and the results to lead this country to a better place, and I love America, and we need to do it. It's in trouble.
What do you want to do? If you were president and the day after you're inaugurated, would you have three things that you'd say, these are my first goals?
I sure would. Number one, we got to get this economy going, because the pathway forward for opportunity for most of our fellow citizens is to have access to a job or an economic opportunity. So we've announced a big economic plan. Two, I'd repeal Obamacare and ask the Congress to do that. I think that's one of the worst pieces of legislation in the modern history of the country.
Yeah.
And three, I think we would make some decisions in the area of security and international affairs that send the strong message that we don't equivocate and delay when it comes to our friends around the world like Israel, and I'd reestablish and reassure that relationship.
What kind of tone would you set as a president?
Well, I always tell folks, especially when I would go into places like rural Minnesota when I was governor, you know, you can't be pro-jobs and anti-business. That's like being pro-egg and anti-chicken. That doesn't work so well. And so we need to understand and remember where these jobs come from. They come from people wanting to start and grow businesses. And so this isn't about whether some small group of the country is more wealthy. It's about, are we doing those things to make it more likely that jobs will grow? Because that's how most people pay their bills, put gas in their car, get their groceries, pay their mortgage, pay for college. And we need to be a pro-jobs country. And right now, most of the entrepreneurs I talk to are saying it's too discouraging, it's too expensive, the government's making it too slow, too heavy, too difficult, and they want the load to be lighter, not heavier.
How are we going to get this deficit under control? It's a $1.6 trillion deficit. What are we going to do?
Well, when I was the governor of a very liberal place, I love my state. It's a beautiful state. I know you've been there. But it's quite liberal. I mean, the land of Mondale and Humphrey and McCarthy and Wellstone, and now we have U.S. Senator Al Franken, and I was the first, movement conservative to...
It's a crazy state. They've got a pro wrestler as a former governor and a professional comedian as a senator. I mean, what is it with Minnesota?
We were able to make big change there as a conservative, but on taxes and spending and public employee pensions and school reform and much more. One of the leadership lessons I learned is there comes a time where you have to draw a line in the sand. And this is one of the moments for the country. So this debt ceiling vote is really a line in the sand moment. And I strongly hope and believe and pray that our Republican and congressional leaders don't raise the debt ceiling. And if they do, please make structural, permanent, big change, like a balanced budget constitutional amendment, caps on spending that are real and specific.
I enjoyed your book, Courage to Stand, Tim Pawlenty. You came out of... sort of a working class background. You didn't come with a silver spoon in your mouth. What was your father doing? What was his job?
Well, for much of his life, he was a truck driver, but later in life, he got promoted to be a dispatcher. We thought, as a family, we had hit the jackpot. And then a little later, even got promoted to terminal manager. We were very proud of that. But I think my first paycheck out of law school was bigger than his last one, which was kind of a dramatic moment for us as we compared those paychecks. He was a good man, and he learned.
Did he inspire you to get educated? That you had to go to college and that sort of thing?
He did, but my mom really was a driving force there. She died when I was 16 of ovarian cancer, the youngest of 5 kids. And just a short time before she passed on, she summoned my brothers and sisters to her bedside, and she made them look her in the eye and promised her that they would do everything they could to get me to college. They couldn't go, not because they lacked the capacity, they just didn't have the opportunity. So my mom's
were you the baby?
Dying wish was to get me to college. Yes, I was.
You were the baby.
I was the baby.
And so all those children are going to get together to get you to college.
And they did.
And they did.
And they did. And my mom was a very, very wonderful woman and a great leader for our family. But that was one of her life dreams, is to have one of her kids get to college.
Well, you tell about your very lovely wife. Apparently, she is a lawyer like you.
Well, she was. Now we're both have moved on to other things.
Yeah,
but we met in law school, and she was on the board of Bethel College and Seminary in St. Paul, and she's been involved in a lot of great ministry work, like on the board of Teen Challenge and some other things. But she really was instrumental in transforming my faith life and opened up that in ways that were just profoundly important for me and still does to this day.
Well, your faith has played a big role in your life, hasn't it?
It sure has. You know, I was raised Catholic, and Mary and I met. She came from a Baptist tradition, so as we were getting married and getting serious about that, I wanted to reconcile our faith lives, and she did too, so I started attending her church. But, you know, she led me to the Lord and was a powerful, really leader and mentor in that journey for me. And I think if you met her, you'd be impressed. She's joyful. She believes what we believe, and she's a tremendous voice for the Lord, got a wonderful heart, and as a big part of this effort.
What does she think? I mean, running for president is a terrible burden on a family. Is she 100% with you on it?
She sure is. You know, we have two teenage daughters. One is 18, one is 14, you know, and one of them drives, and they both like boys, and so they need supervision. So Mary can't always be with me on the road, but she comes when she can, and she strongly believes that this is important for the country and has the same values that we do.
You practiced law. You were a Commonwealth or a prosecuting attorney. Then you were majority leader of the what is it? The House of Delegates in
House of Representatives
in Minnesota. And then, did it look like you were going to win for governorship? It looked like the odds were stacked against you.
No, it didn't look like I was going to win. It's blue state, and I wasn't very well known, didn't have much money, and people were not giving me a very good chance at running. And when I first started running, I did this little tour around the state in a two-seater plane, and not many people showed up. It was a little discouraging on day one. And I came home and went out to coach soccer that night. My daughters were playing soccer, and so I took off my suit and put on my coach's shirt and walked out onto the field, and these little girls came running up to me, and they said, you know, are you running for governor? Are you running for governor? Yeah. I thought, wow, this campaigning really works. I've only been out a day, and it's already permeated the minds of these 7-year-old girls. And I kind of pridefully puffed up, and I said, yeah, I'm running for governor. And then this one little girl looked up to me, and she said, cool. Do you think you could get me Jesse Ventura's autograph?
I understand. Well, you also played, you love hockey. You still play hockey?
I do, although I'm, you know, post 50 now, so I'm slow and old out there, but I still like to play, and in the winters in particular, we get out. It's a great sport. It's like, I tell people, it's like human pinball. It's fast-moving and a lot of action. And
well, do you get hurt playing? I've seen people checked against the backboards. I mean, it looks like it's brutal.
Well, it can be, although now in my old men's league, as we call it, it's no checking, although people fall down and hurt themselves. So,
but they can't check.
Not intentionally. People accidentally bump into each other. So we're beyond that age where you can go out and lay into each other.
Well, Governor, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Courage to Stand. Is that available in bookstores? Can people buy it if they want to get it?
It is. Yes, it is.
Courage to Stand. Tim Pawlenty, two-term governor of Minnesota and candidate for the Republican nomination for the presidency of the United States. We'll be back with more after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
That was fantastic.